Speechless. I don't know whether to say it's a good morning or a good afternoon or a good evening, but I'm speechless. I'm sure you all are. All right, guys. Very welcome to Cherry and Timber Talk. And as you can see from our faces, probably this will be the reaction of all Indian cricket fans today worldwide. And yeah, I think it's best to talk about what we could do ahead rather than what happened yesterday. But yeah, we will dissect the game and see in terms of where we went wrong. So Mahesh, what's your first reaction after seeing the score? Did you actually read it right, or you felt that I'm doing a mistake somewhere?
No, I switched on the TV a little late, and by the time half the team was back into the pavilion, so that was fine. But I think there is no point in overreacting to this kind of a situation. I mean, there is a collective failure. We can't get 11 new players on the field. Okay. So the fact of the matter is that Ravi Shastri has got a big job in hand. He has to inspire the players to go out and perform. I think the bowlers did a reasonably good job. Actually, India in the first innings batted pretty well. I mean, Virat batted well. Ajinkya Rahane was looking good. Pujara was looking good. So there's no need for knee-jerk reaction. We just need to tide over this. And I think the senior players and Ravi Shastri has to instill that confidence in all the remaining players. And I think we'll come good in the second test match.
Quite optimistic, Mahesh. Nishad, do you think, I agree partly with Mahesh that our bowlers bowled well, but somewhere I also feel that our lengths were slightly shorter than what Australia bowled in terms of inducing the edge and trying to swing the ball more. Do you think that's the case?
You're the analyst here, so you would know. But I just look at the patterns, and it's just the patterns that are repeating, and that is what is disappointing if you are an Indian following Test cricket. Because you're allowing a tail to score and wag, and it's not the first time it's happened over the last few years. It's not the first time there has been a batting collapse. So
correct.
I'm not saying it's not to say that these guys they don't become bad players in one day. It's just a pattern that needs to be arrested. It happened in New Zealand. It wasn't as bad as well. So there is I would think that this is in a way definitely, as Yogesh put up on social media, that it's a big wake up call, and I think it is. In a sense that you, at the same time, I think they should also think about the next generation, because not right now. I mean, no knee-jerk reaction, but what happened after the Tendulkar, Lakshman, Dravid era is that the Pujaras, Kohlis, and all were very young, and they were thrust into Test cricket. Possibly now is also to look and create that backup, maybe manage the batting better. Bowling, no doubt, it's fantastic. I think they just try and do too many things when tailenders come in. So no knee-jerk reactions, but yes, a lot of introspection needs to be done by India as to what went wrong, because definitely a top-class side cannot get bowled out for 36. Having said that, I also feel, Indian fans should keep some perspective. Yes, it is disappointing. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's definitely bad. But remember that, आपको इतना बुरा लग रहा है, पर we are the ones facing it. वो तो वही मैदान में है, उन पर वो बीती है. So you can imagine how bad they must be feeling. And it brings me back to what Sachin Tendulkar said after 2007 World Cup and 2003, that fans should realize that we are the ones going through it. That how bad it must be for us. So I can only imagine how bad it's for the Indian team at the moment. I'm sorry it's taking a bit more time, but I think I should definitely say this, because I've worked in a team environment, and when we have a bad day, when you enter the dressing room, it's like a funeral. Nobody wants to hear
completely agree with you, Mr.
Nobody wants to reflect it. I remember when I was with Gujarat Lions, and AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli had smashed us for 248. And I remember one of the bowlers telling me that, I actually tried everything. Like I bowled a Yorker, and AB just sits down, creates it into a full toss, and I have no idea on earth how he gets that much time. So these things happen definitely, but I think it's a lot of introspection that needs to be done. And I remember what Brendan McCullum said when in South Africa 2013, they got all out for 45. New Zealand team went back to the board, had a meeting where they just spoke to each other honestly, and turned their fortunes around over the next couple of years. So I think this is what will happen with Indian cricket as well. It's not to press alarm bells or anything, but just a time to introspect as to what went wrong.
I agree. I think, and I completely understand that point of view, wherein you mentioned about the team dressing room after these kind of, smashing defeats. And the silence is deafening, is all I could say, because you don't want to be in that team environment or that dressing room after this kind of a performance, for sure. It's terrible. I've been there too, and I've seen it. But yeah, I think coming to Yogesh, I think one thing which I'll definitely point out, and I think this is Nishad already mentioned about the tail enders being a concern, and I think there's one more thing which is a big concern, and I'm sure we all have read on social media as well. A lot of people are talking about it. Is that this Indian team is giving us a different kind of disappointment. Earlier we used to be thrashed. I mean, there was literally no fight back. There was literally no fight in terms of on overseas tours. But now, I think we are consistently getting into winning situations and kind of giving the initiative away. And we all talk about one bad session or one bad hour of play. How do we, as professional sportsmen, overcome that? I'm just thinking, is there a way to keep that intensity high all the time and not lose focus and not give that inch away to the opposition? That's something which Australia does really well, Yogesh, right?
And how long we've been actually, going through this, and especially it happens a lot with tail enders adding those crucial runs, or for instance, when we could have added some more runs, even in the first innings, for instance, when you're 6 wickets down and you get pulled it out for 8 runs, giving away those 4 wickets quite cheaply, right? I think what one must realize, for instance, is recognizing that pattern early when things start slipping away from you, so that you can change the approach for that session for a while. Now, what do I mean by that? You lost one key wicket, that's okay, because those things happen. You lost another wicket right after. The batsman who comes after that has to now sort of understand that, look, something's going out of our hands now. This means that I cannot be playing in the same way that the people before me have played, right? And in the first innings, the mistake our tailenders made was they were going for after the ball, right? Not putting a price tag on the wicket, for instance. And in the second innings, what we saw was there was a pattern that was getting repeated without somebody trying to do anything different at all. Right? So it's like sometimes you'll get same results if you continue to use the same approach. And I think this is where people need to start understanding that, look, when is the momentum shifting, right? And what is leading to that momentum change? So I spoke a little bit about batting. Now, equally, we'll also speak about bowling here, When is it okay for you to, let's say, give away first 5-10 runs and understand that now this partnership has got 20 runs and potentially can change the course of the match? This happened when Australia was batting, and Tim Paine got company, and then they scored those 20-25 runs, for instance, right? And all of those start adding up. And for some reason, it seems, I think a lot of times when we speak about Indian performance after the match, people say, oh, we are becoming a great bowling unit. No doubt about that. We are becoming a better batting unit. No doubt about that. But these moments, these clutch moments, right? We're still allowing them to slip away. So how do you realize that as fast as you can, and then sort of change something so that you don't let that impact be cast over the outcome of the game?
Agreed. Also, I think I completely agree.
Yeah. Look at some of India's overseas wins by the golden generation, if I may use the term, and how they came back in the second innings after taking advantage of the first innings, but then in the second innings when they were in a spot. Johannesburg 2006, Perth 2008, Durban 2010. All these innings, there is one common pattern where in the second innings, India were in trouble, and VVS Lakshman stood up with a tailender, and India won.
Exactly.
And that made such a big difference. So what's happening is it's the reverse is happening this time. Is that India dominating the first innings and then they go away in the second innings when they very well, we know they have the capability of coming back. So it is a lot, as I said, I think you must have seen Virat Kohli's press conference. It's also a lot about the execution. It's, the execution has been disappointing, and they will know it better. And they definitely know what is going wrong better than any of us sitting on the outside. We can just observe. But having been there in the middle, they definitely know what's going on. And I know people will compare it to the 2018 when India won. But if you again see the first test and all, the bowling attack is the same that India tackled in 2018. The batting stood up to the occasion back then.
Correct.
So it's not that they don't have it in them. They definitely do. 2018, they were up against the same quality bowlers.
Yes.
So there's definitely, as I said, a lot of introspection that needs to be done as to what is exactly going wrong.
Agree. And Mahesh, I think Yogesh made a fair point about the tailenders putting a price tag on the wicket. And I think that is definitely an area of concern for us when it comes to our tail, right? Versus the opposite team's tail. So, and I think we all have grown up watching, guys like Anil Kumble and even Harbhajan Singh and Zahir Khan as well, right? To an extent, putting a price tag on their wickets and, not throwing it away. Being a part of crucial partnerships, I think Nishat spoke about Perth 2008, how important was VVS Lakshman's innings with RP Singh in that match, right? So I think those are certain instances which have been game-changing moments for us, especially when the tail hangs around, and, it kind of dents the opposition's confidence, right? And, it creates doubts in their mind. So is there something which we could do on an immediate term, but I'm sure they cannot become great batsmen overnight. But is there something that they could do to kind of address this issue? Because after 5 down, we're like literally walking wickets, right?
So see, we were really missing Ishant Sharma, isn't he? I mean, he used to hold one end up. He used to defend. He wouldn't score too many runs, but he wouldn't throw his wicket away. We need tailenders to put a price tag, like what Yogesh said, and a high price tag. They need not score the runs. If there is another batsman who's there at the other end who can score runs, they just need to hold their end up. Correct. And that is not happening. Okay. And like what you said, these batsmen, I mean, the last 3 or 4, there's nothing to choose between them. All of them are at the same level. Okay. During the earlier time, we had Srinath, who was okay. Zahir Khan, he was okay. At least 1 out of 4 matches, they would score runs.
Yep.
So you always had hope that they would play. And that gave a lot of confidence to the batsman at the other end. I still remember the match at Mohali against Australia, which VVS Lakshman won. Ishant Sharma batted a very, very long time along with VVS, and that's how India won. So, like what you said, we are in the tournament, in the tour. We can't make drastic changes. They can't become great batsmen overnight. But fact of the matter is, they need to be told that each of them have to bat 20 or 30 balls. Because we are folding up very quickly. I mean, forget the runs. The runs will come if you're there. So give them a target of batting 20, 25, 30, whatever number of balls. I'm sure Ravi Shastri and the captain Ajinkya Rahane, who's going to be the captain in the next match, should tell the tailenders that they need to go there and not come back very quickly. I mean, that is what I think will lead them to score runs and probably take India to a reasonably good total. See, when we bowl, the opposition tailenders actually make us cry. I mean, we take the top 5, 6, 7 batsmen out. The last 2 or 3 batsmen, they actually score a lot of runs.
Agreed.
This is not in this tour. It has been happening since a very long time. So either we need to learn a lot from the opposition tailenders, I guess. So.
Correct.
Mahesh, I'll just add one thing to the price tag, that we've been speaking of. And I think it's important to kind of put that in perspective a bit. So when we say putting a price tag, I mean, my own individual view on this is, I'm not going to expect 25 runs from Ishant every time he comes into bat, or let's say 20 runs from Umesh Yadav. But what I would say is, the price tag I'm going to look at, and in test match context is, can you play 25 balls? Can you play 30 balls? Can you increase the amount of time the opposition has to spend on the park, taking their batting time away, and making them a bit more tired, a bit more frustrated, because, you're not just playing with the resources in terms of runs or resources in terms of how many people or wickets you need to get. You're also playing with the mindset and the entire attitude of the opposition there. So, I'm going to look at, let's say, the average of the bowlers in terms of how many balls are they willing to face. And Bumrah gave me 35 balls consistently as an average. And I'd say in that case, he's probably played his role as a batsman in the team as well.
Agree. No wonder it's a team sport.
The way you look at the run scored, or what you look at as batting contribution from the bowlers.
Agreed. Interesting. So I think there's an interesting point Devanshu is making. Ashwin and Bumrah still do. They are trying to put a price tag on their wicket, but the opening is mixed up, and talk of the town, Prithvi Shaw's form, and I think we all know what's going on. Obviously, he's not in the best mind space right now. Nishad, I mean, do you feel that he should be given a break for his own good, or should you continue with him and just give him a longer run?
No, I think it will be then trying to talk to a brick wall, because you're going to force him. He's not in the mental state, so for him it will probably be better just to sit out and think about what's going wrong, because definitely the talent is there and no question about the talent. It's now a test of his character more than anything, that he has gone through this at a very young age. And it's not that a cricketer doesn't have a bad test match. He does, definitely. Coupled with the fact is that he's had a bad IPL, and then it's all been combined. Up until then, Test cricket was still fine. So it's all I would say piled up, and thanks to social media. And one of the, I mean, we can't advise Prithvi Shaw technically, but only thing I will tell him is that don't log into social media for at least a week. Just look after your own mind space, because it's not going to help you coming on social media. Talk to people who are going to help you. Talk to people who are going to advise you the right way. That's the only thing you can tell him. He's a young talent. Not going to write him off. No one's going to write him off. Navjot Singh Sidhu was called a strokeless wonder in 1983. 1987, he comes back much stronger and has a career which lasted 11 years. So I will not put it past Prithvi Shaw at all. And it's just that I think as fans, everyone loses perspective. And he's 20 or 21, and imagine a 20 or 21-year-old going through that amount of scrutiny. I can only think about what's going through him and his family at the moment. So
I agree.
So I think he needs to sort out whatever cobwebs are there in his mind. I think it's a test of his character more than talent.
Agree. I think you nailed it in terms of, he's just 20 or 21 right now. So obviously that plays a huge factor, right, guys? He doesn't have a huge baggage or a big record to kind of defend, wherein he has a big reputation or something like that. In Test cricket, I'm talking about. So give him time. I think that's something which we'll do. And he's seen the highs and the lows, right? The Harris Shield, 100 or whatever. I think 500 he scored, right? Probably in that game.
School cricket, but,
I'm just saying that he's seen a complete graph from there to the under-19 win, and now this and the IPL bat form. So obviously he's learned a lot in the process, and I'm hoping that he comes back stronger as a better individual and a player. So that's what we could hope for, like I said. But again, having said that, Mahesh, what's your opinion? Should we, I'm sure Nishad has pointed out that, we should give him a break for his own good, which is like, sort out your game, your technique and your mental space more than anything else. Do you think we should get KL Rahul to open the next game?
To begin with, we should stop comparing Prithvi Shaw with Virendra Sehwag.
Okay. And Tendulkar.
And
possibly Shane Warne.
I find it bizarre that a kid of 21 years, he must have scored a few runs. I'm not saying no to it. But you can't compare him with somebody like Virendra Sehwag, who has for years together scored so many runs. Correct. Why do we jump to these kind of conclusions? We have this habit, the cricket fans, they take him to a pedestal, and once he fails a couple of innings, they dump him. That's not the way you got to do it. Okay, another reason I think that what Nishad said is right. For his own good, he should be kept out for some time. He can go back to the drawing board, understand whether... My issue is, does he have a technical flaw? If he has a technical flaw, he needs to go back and iron it out, because in this age, even if you have a very minuscule technical flaw, the teams around the world will pick it up. And we all know what happened, right? Ricky Ponting was his coach at Delhi Capitals, and he went on air and said that this is a flaw that he has. So word spreads fast, right? There's nothing wrong in it. What Ricky Ponting as a broadcaster is saying, he's very much entitled to do it. The simple thing that somebody like Prithvi Shaw should do is to go back, go through the grind. He would have scored some runs in India. He scored a century. That's all fine. Australia is a different cup of tea. There's bounce, pace, and the quality of bowling of Australia is very good. Look at those bowlers. It's very difficult to score runs out of them. So, like what you said, KL Rahul may be a good option. now with Virat Kohli going back, I'm sure that Shubman Gill could be another option that they could consider and push. And I don't know what the batting order that Rahane and Ravi Shastri would like to have, but I think it would be nice if Prithvi Shaw is given a break, let him go back, try and understand where he went wrong, and could come back very strongly.
Yeah, I think the reason I say KL Rahul is because obviously Virat going away, we need a senior member in the team, and given his current form and his road to, 2020 from where he was, say, 2 years back, KL Rahul definitely is a much improved player than what it was, say, in the last test series down under. Plus, he has a century in Australia, so that also plays in the mind, because he's done that before. I think that's where, because, if you have too many cluttered minds and young kids on the block, right, Australia is going to, come out hard at us. So I think that's somewhere we need that experience and that calmness. And Yogesh, it's an interesting topic, slightly off track. We might spoke about the comparison with Virendra Sehwag. And I think this is probably an area wherein, he doesn't get enough credit for being who he was, Sehwag. We always talk about, him having a flashy blade and, scoring those runs quickly. And, being a test opener, it's not easy, right? So I think somewhere we also need to understand how good he was with having that uncluttered mind and that approach, wherein if he's going for it, he just goes for it. He's so sure in his mind about his game, his own strength. And I think that's something which was exceptional about Sehwag, right? And probably that's where I feel Prithvi Shaw is getting caught up in between. Somewhere he feels that, should I rather try attacking and playing my natural game, or should I be slightly tentative? And he's kind of caught in between. If you saw the dismissals, right, it was first innings was a nothing shot. He was just chasing the ball, and he wasn't flashing hard as well, nor was he trying to defend. He was just trying to hang his bat around. Second innings, I could still give him credit that the ball was slightly better. So what do you feel about that?
First, I think it's unfair to compare Prithvi Shaw with anybody. You've got to look at the player at his face value as to who he is and the way he plays. Saw in the games that he's not completely away from runs at all. Can happen that you come into a match and a technical deficiency which not have been exploited earlier gets exploited. Here we are currently living in an environment wherein you've got 2 or 3 possible replacements to Prithvi Shaw that people have seen. And so everyone's talking about that alone. There is a reason why Prithvi Shaw was the first starter amongst all of them. Unless the management, had that faith in him, they wouldn't have blooded him in, knowing KL Rahul was in such a sensational form. Right? So Prithvi Shaw, a 21-year-old, making up until this stage, there has to be a reason why he's there. And I'll tell you, one of my own perspective on this is he's not the first batsman to have struggled under these circumstances. He won't be the last either. I think people are trying to, add up his social presence on social media that they see, and probably, started thinking that maybe he's not serious about his life or his cricket, and maybe he's been privileged to be given that opportunity ahead of others. So I feel, I think fans probably get swayed by what they look and, start making those judgments and probably, sweeping statements and things like that. So those are some of the first few things I wanted to say, that give the kid a break. Unless he's had talent, he wouldn't have risen to that and reached until there. Unless you knew how to score runs and a technical deficiency, obviously I understand that. But if he did not know how to get through those problems, he wouldn't have worked to that level either. Because when you actually look at competitive cricket, people are able to find things out. Many Ranji bowlers would be good enough to actually say, okay, fine, if I see a window, I'm going to try and exploit that. So
Agreed.
I think a lot of noise. It's just the nature and the context that we live in today, that those noises become amplified, and we think, okay, he has to play this way or he has to play that way. I think if he's playing, he should play the way he knows how to play. That's the most important thing. And then I think going just to the Virendra Sehwag thing, how many people actually remember that Virendra Sehwag had made his debut, then he was dropped from the team, and then he came back? If you are a good player, there will be chances that you will make your presence felt, whether it is today or whether it is few matches down the line. So
he came back so much strong, Yogesh. That was his second wave that he had in his career, and just took it to another level. The game.
And that patience is important also, I'll tell you, because Marwan Atapattu would not have been half the cricketer that we know him of if somebody had his 4 ducks in a row and said he's good.
5 in a row.
innings, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, if there is somebody who's got substance, right? That
Yep.
there will be a period when somebody struggles, and it happens in a sportsman's life, right?
Yep.
People
Yep.
need to have a little bit of patience. You don't rise to that position unless you've got talent and skill.
Agree.
And honestly speaking, a lot of this criticism comes from people who probably struggle to make their own lane teams. Sorry to say, but it's just that perspective is important, I guess. I mean,
Mm.
I read the other day somebody saying Prithvi Shaw doesn't know how to play a short ball. I'm like, doesn't know? Do you really think that? That's the way we should put it. Because
Mm.
unless he knew how to play, he wouldn't have got where he has. So
Yep. Yep.
I hope he succeeds in future, and I hope he gets all the mental support. Final point I make is, this entire mindset of chopping and changing is also the reason why some of the other players in the test team have been struggling. You
Yep.
need to give people confidence that once they come into the team, they will get few games for them
Mm.
to win also. Which means in the bargain you might lose a game, and it
Yep.
happens. But
Yep.
once these people start settling into their roles, they
Yep.
become far better players. And what if
Correct.
you lost a game somewhere, they'll make up for it in future for you.
Hmm.
Yep, agree. I think, like you rightly mentioned, probably all the criticism and the noise is happening because of the fact that, and I think I probably have mentioned this before as well, India has riches of talent, right, in terms of batting talent. I mean, if you can make it to this Indian team and hold your place in the side, then you are doing a really good job. I think that's how I'll put it, because amount of talent and the options that we have outside is like humongous, and that's probably a question asked by Devanshu as well. In terms of, let's keep his age aside, do you think it's right now, KL Rahul and Gail are in better form? Yes, we all agree, and I think as collectively we have spoken here that probably he should be given a break and get in Rahul, get in Gill for Kohli, and maybe that's the way forward. Interesting question by Siddharth, guys, and I think I'll maybe start with Nishad on this. What's your take on this, Nishad?
No, I would. I've got a very interesting theory, and this was one of my friends who's from England, and he
Mm.
sent me a message, and he said, just to change things up, maybe consider a left-hander in the middle order.
That's
So
actually a good point.
possibly think about a Jadeja or a Pant coming in. Jadeja has made strides as a batsman. 3 triple centuries he has in first-class cricket. So
Yes.
I'm not. So definitely, if someone gets 3 triple centuries in first-class cricket,
Yeah.
it's not like he doesn't have the. Definitely, he can do something.
And
So
he's in amazing form as well. We have
he's
seen
in
in the
amazing
last couple
form.
of years. Yeah.
So possibly you can consider Pant or Jadeja playing as batsmen. Jadeja will add with his bowling. But again, how many changes will you make? That is also the question. You don't want to make too many changes. I
Mm.
wouldn't make KL the wicket keeper. I think keep Saha as the wicket keeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will be too knee jerk at the moment. KL will come in, I think, in place of Shaw anyways. And because Kohli goes out, they'll have to make one more change. There are other things.
Yep.
Just too many. Don't do too many things. If you're going to get someone in place of
Mm.
Kohli, most likely it's going to be Gill. You could consider a left-hander, but just don't change too many things.
Yeah, but that left-hander point is definitely valid, because I think right now it's very one-dimensional, our batting, and possibly getting a left-hander can change things up. And from an opposition perspective as well, it's always irritating to bowl to a left-right combination for sure. So
And
yeah,
worst comes to worst, there is, I think Shikhar Dhawan is in Melbourne itself with his family. You could possibly call him. Worst comes to worst. I hope it doesn't. Jokes apart, but
yeah,
I mean, I would agree with what Mahesh said earlier. You can't do a knee-jerk thing, because again, another example I'll give you is in South Africa in 2012, we saw a team comprising of Jayawardene, Sanghakara, Matthews, Dilshan, Upul Tharanga, a team that played the World Cup final the previous year. And not like all were old.
Yep.
It's a mixture of youth and experience. And there was Chandimal in that. And they got all out for 43 in the first ODI. Later in the same series, they chased down 300 and 330 in 2
Yep.
consecutive matches. So cricket has its own funny ways. And we'll just have to let it play out.
Agree. Okay, so coming to the bowling part of it now, we have discussed the batting changes. Mahesh, we don't know the update yet on Shami's injury, but in case worst comes to worst, I'm thinking if he's not available, would you play Mohammad Siraj or Navdeep Saini in place of Shami?
I would be tempted with Navdeep Saini. I think he's got good pace. Okay, and maybe a little more on confidence probably because he's played a little more than Mohammad Siraj. So yeah, if Mohammad Shami is not playing because of his injury, then I would be tempted to go with Navdeep Saini.
Interesting. Yep, I agree. Yogesh, what's your take?
I think likewise. Not only different options there do we have.
Yep, yep, agree. And yep, interesting. So from an Australian standpoint, and obviously, okay, let's take that in the end. Maybe I'm just thinking there's one more point which I wanted to discuss before coming to that point. The pitch debate, guys. Are we reading too much into the sporting wicket debate right now, or is it predominantly because of the pink ball that we saw all these wickets fell? Nishad.
Again, don't really know, but there's an interesting thing that on the second day, 15 wickets fell. The same thing if it would have happened here in India, we know what would have been the outcry. So it's a matter of skill. It's a matter of different things coming into play. But the pitch didn't look very. It was challenging, but may not have been as bad as 36 all out. But I'd also say what Glenn McGrath said. He said that it's just one of these days. Sometimes batsmen just nick everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there are days where bowlers are bowling well, you're playing and missing, playing and missing, playing and missing.
Correct. Right.
And you remember what Dale Steyn was doing to India in Cape Town 2011. And everybody was nicking, but Tendulkar was just playing and missing. And it changed the game because he went on to score 100 and rescued India in that game. So it's just one of those days where everybody was nicking everything, and it happens sometimes. But
and I think it's also because of the bowling as well, Nisha. That's what I was trying to make the point earlier. That our bowlers, the lengths that we bowled was giving the Australian batsmen enough time to either leave the ball or play it off the back foot as well, right? I mean, it wasn't they were not giving it enough time to swing or move off the wicket. Whereas them, if you look at Pat Cummins' length, right, he was exceptional. I think we would have seen the Hawkeye and the pitch map analysis, right, in terms of where he was landing the ball consistently, right, and probably that is why he was getting more nicks, and that's what I feel. Maybe that's one area where our bowlers fell short, and I thought that they could have done better. That's what I was feeling. Even Umesh, he got the new ball in the first inning, but he did not swing it much at all, right?
I think, but that's been the thing with this Indian bowling also, that we don't bowl that much up really. I think one of the only bowlers I remember who used to bowl up when needed was probably Zair Khan, and before that Ajit Agarkar, who used to actually go fuller when needed, right?
Yeah, correct.
Most of the other Indian bowlers, the fast bowlers especially,
they hit the deck fast bowlers,
hit the deck fast bowlers. Probably because of the Indian pitches where they bowl, you can't really afford to have the length too full. So the years of conditioning and the muscle memory is such that you're probably a fraction short than a fraction full. So I think under those conditions, Australia bowled well, and I think you said something about sporting wicket or something.
Yeah.
There's no merit in that conversation at all. I think the wickets were fine. No, there were no balls that did stayed alarmingly low or kind of awkwardly rose or something like that. I think one of those things wherein the batsman really didn't play well. And actually, I'll tell you what Kohli mentioned after the match, and that actually made a lot of sense. That he said probably the batsman wanted to show a little bit of intent and wanted to get runs to change the momentum, which meant that they were in the run scoring mindset, which meant trying to get the bat on the ball, and that's how they nick those, right? Now this is where actually I think I have a problem personally. That earlier when I spoke about that once a mindset starts getting you into a problem, you've got to find a way of breaking that mindset. So I think two batsmen have gone for it and mixed it. The third one coming actually has to say, I'm actually going to leave everything outside off. Does not matter if I don't get runs for next 6 overs, for instance, right? They will then change that coming, take somebody else in, and I'll see if I can work the angles with the new bowler, right?
Yes, agree.
My problem is that three-dimensional intent mindset, right? I feel test matches are not just won by scoring runs, but test matches are also won by playing out time. And one of the things I feel this team does not do quite well is actually playing the time.
Yes, I agree. Mike, what's your point? What's your Thoughts on Yogesh's point?
Yogesh said some very good points. One of the points that I would also want to say is that Australia is one country where batsmen can leave the ball on length. If you bowl a little short, you can easily leave on length because the ball will go up. If you see the first spell that the Indian bowlers bowl, how many balls did the Australian batsmen leave? See, in Test cricket, if you're a good batsman, you leave as many balls as possible in the first hour. And if you're a good bowler, you'll make the batsman play as many balls as possible in the first hour because that's your chance to get a wicket, right? Because the ball is moving around. Incidentally, I think Nishad and Yogesh both pointed out, is that we were a tad short in leg because we are still bowling on Indian wickets. Okay, we need to bowl the ball up, maybe about a foot up, and then you make the Australian batsman play. If you see today, Hazelwood bowled impeccable line and length. He made the batsman play. He was close to the wicket. He made the batsman play, and they nicked everything. Like what Glenn McGrath said, there are some days that the batsmen keep nicking, and those days the catchers catch everything as well because you can nick the ball, but if the catchers don't catch the ball, you can still survive. But I think Australia was catching just about everything. So yeah, there is a lot of things to be learned. This is our first match, and what Nishad said, because the ball was pink ball, it was moving around. It's not that brand of cricket. I mean, not that brand of ball that we play very often. Maybe the second, third, and fourth Test match, maybe we might compete much better. But there's nothing wrong with the wicket. I mean, 15 wickets would have fallen, but there was no demon on the wicket.
I'm glad you brought that point out regarding Australians catching everything. Guys, what was happening in the first inning? So many drop catches. I think, Nishad, that's something which India has not seen for a long, long time. So many drop catches in a Test match wherein we pride ourselves with fielding, right?
Yeah, it's just surprising because this team is good in terms of fielding, and I don't know whether it was in some cases maybe a sighting issue because I think Mayank Agarwal, one catch, I think he lost it. Sometimes I don't know. Maybe the pink ball is not very easy to sight once it goes or it's in line with the crowd. So you don't know what the issue is. It could have been one of those things. But yes, no, not something you would expect, and so yeah, I mean, it's again one of those days that India had that day.
Yeah, and I think that definitely could have been a game-changing moment as well if those catches had been taken. Imagine Australia being bundled out for say 120 odd in the first inning, right? So with a lead of say about more than 100, you could have done wonders. Even if you were bowled out for 136 or say 50 odd in the second innings, you still had a fighting chance, right? So that's the whole point. So yeah, interesting time. So yeah, I think we all agree no knee-jerk reactions or changes for the next test or the series. Okay, Nick has a comment. Is that the result when you don't choose Jonty? Okay, are you trying to say Jonty as the the fielding coach, or I didn't get that point? Anyways, so
maybe the reference is to the best fielder in the team, Ravindra Jadeja.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Probably, when you don't have the best of the fielders.
Okay.
One of I noticed, right?
It is not. I think he means not appointing Jonty Rhodes as fielding coach.
Jadeja as that way. Okay, all right. Fielding coach. Yeah, correct. He's clarified.
In any case, I think one of the things which I also noticed is a couple of catches actually were just behind the fielders who were on the boundary. Would you say the fielders would have been better off if they were closer to the ropes instead of being 10 meters inside the ropes, for instance?
Interesting. I mean, yeah, it's again a 50-50 call, right?
I think it's because of the size of the ground that most fielders who field at the rope start walking in a lot more because they try to cut the second run. And in the process, they walk in a little too much and the ball goes over their head. That's a part of the game, I guess.
Yeah, I think somewhere, if you see, Mahesh, even those catches, right? Generally, that's again why I said a 50-50 call is because most of the time when you bowl short and the top edge, right, it doesn't carry that far. Generally, it falls short, or the fielder has to run in to catch the ball. Probably that's why they want them slightly inside. But again, it's a 50-50 call, right? So
true, very true.
If he's standing too much back, then we'll say, why is he not in right? So again.
So you mean to say that literally is a catch-22 situation?
Catch-22. Okay, all right, guys. Let's hope that we do a better job in the next 3 tests, and let's hope it's not what we all are dreading, that a 4-0 whitewash. I'm sure that with the red ball things will be slightly, if not easier, but at least slightly better for the batsmen in terms of countering the pace and the swing. Yeah, and I think Boxing Day tests are always something to be excited about at Melbourne, and I hope that India fight back and we come back in the series. So, yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to catching up next week during the Boxing Day tests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.